In a small kingdom called Macedonia, under the golden sun of Greece, a boy was born, not into luxury, but into destiny. His name was Alexander. From the moment he opened his eyes, the world seemed too small for the fire burning inside him. While other children played, he studied maps. While others dreamed of peace, he dreamed of conquest. His teacher Aristotle taught him philosophy, but life itself would teach him what it truly meant to be great. He trained with the sword until his hands bled. He rode his black stallion, Bucephalus, until they became one being, half man, half beast. There was no fear in him, only a burning hunger to test the limits of his own power. Even as a young man, his eyes carried the calm of a storm, the look of someone who already knew the world would one day kneel before him. When his father was assassinated, Alexander took the throne. The world doubted him, but he did not answer with words. He answered with victories. At only 20 years old, he led an army across lands as people had never seen. The wind of destiny carried him east, toward the mighty Persian Empire. On the dusty plains of Issus, he faced the Persian King Darius and his massive army, outnumbered, outmatched, but not outwilled. As arrows darkened the sky, Alexander charged through the chaos like a thunderbolt of fate. His sword cut not just through enemies, but through the very idea of limitation. When the dust settled, Darius fled. The world had witnessed something new, a king who would not stop. He became a storm sweeping across continents, Egypt, Persia, Babylon, and beyond. Cities fell, empires crumbled, and history bent to his will. The desert heat could not break him. The mountains could not stop him. The oceans could not humble him. He was not just a conqueror. He was a force of nature. But with every city he took, his heart grew heavier. He began to wonder, was he conquering the world, or was the world conquering him? When his men were hungry, he ate last. When they were cold, he walked beside them. They followed him not out of fear, but out of love. He had become more than a king. He had become a symbol. The boy who tamed a horse was now taming destiny itself. Yet behind his victories hid a loneliness no crown could cure. He built cities, 70 of them. The greatest he named Alexandria, a monument to his dream that the world could be united not by chains, but by vision. In India, he met his hardest challenge, not an army, but nature itself. The river Hydaspes roared like a beast. War elephants crushed men beneath their feet. The rain turned soil to blood. But Alexander did not step back. Even when his beloved horse Bucephalus fell, he kept fighting. He fought with fury, with grief, with the heart of a god trapped in mortal flesh. When victory came, it tasted like ashes, because the more he won, the more he lost, friends, peace, and himself. At 32, Alexander had conquered almost the entire known world. There were no more enemies left, only silence. He stood at the edge of his empire, staring at the horizon, and whispered, "What is left to conquer?" His generals argued. His soldiers longed to return home. But Alexander's war was no longer with men. It was with time itself. In the halls of Babylon, under the flickering glow of torches, the world's greatest conqueror fell ill. Perhaps it was poison, perhaps exhaustion, or perhaps destiny had simply taken its due. As his body weakened, he gathered his generals. They asked him, "To whom do you leave your empire?" He smiled faintly and said, "To the strongest." Those were his final words. Outside his palace, thousands of soldiers wept, not just for a king, but for the fire that had guided him across the ends of the earth. The thunderstorm that once shook the world was silent now, yet its echo refused to fade. They say when Alexander died, his hands were left outside his coffin, empty, to show the world that even a man who conquered everything left with nothing. But his dream, his unshakable belief that no horizon is too far, never died. Centuries have passed. Empires have fallen. The world has changed. Yet his name still burns in our minds like a consolation that never fades. Alexander did not just conquer lands. He conquered fear. He proved that greatness is not a crown, not an empire, but a state of mind. He was more than a man. He was a reminder that every one of us carries within us the same fire that once burned in him. So remember this. The world belongs to those who dare to reach beyond it, to those who hear the voice of destiny and answer, even when it whispers madness. Alexander's story is not about war. It's about belief. The belief that a single life can reshape history. The belief that limits exist only for those who accept them. He rode through storms, through deserts, through the impossible, not because he sought glory, but because he believed there was always more. Even now,